Zara's emerald eyes scanned the holographic displays, searching for any sign of the rare element her people desperately needed. The Astrari, a race of beings evolved far beyond humanity, had welcomed Zara into their ranks after rescuing her from a failed deep space mission. Now she served as one of their most skilled explorers, bridging the gap between human intuition and Astrari logic. A sudden alarm blared through the ship's corridors, snapping Zara from her thoughts. "Captain," the ship's AI announced, its voice calm despite the urgency of the situation. "We're detecting a small vessel on an erratic trajectory. It appears to be of Earth origin." Zara's heart raced. It had been years since she'd encountered anything from her home planet. On screen, she commanded, her voice steady despite the surge of emotions. The holographic display flickered to life, revealing a battered shuttle tumbling through space. Its hull was scarred with impact craters, and one of its engines sputtered weakly, venting plasma into the void. "Life signs?" Zara asked, already knowing the answer. No human could survive long in such a damaged craft. "One life sign detected," the AI responded. "Faint, but present." Without hesitation, Zara made her decision. Initiate rescue protocols. Bring them aboard. As the stellar horizon's tractor beam locked onto the damaged shuttle, Zara couldn't help but wonder about the lone survivor. Who were they? How had they ended up so far from Earth? And most importantly, how would they react to finding themselves aboard an alien vessel? The rescue operation was swift and efficient. Within minutes, the shuttle was secured in the stellar horizon's docking bay, and a team of Astrari medics rushed to extract the survivor. Zara made her way to the medical bay, her steps quick but measured. As she entered the sterile chamber, her gaze fell upon the unconscious form lying on the examination table. The human was male, his face obscured by an old-fashioned helmet. His spacesuit, while advanced by Earth standards, looked primitive compared to the sleek Astrari technology surrounding him. "Report," Zara ordered, addressing the chief medic. The Astrari, a tall, willowy being with iridescent skin, turned to face her. "The subject is stable, Captain. He appears to have been in cryostasis, which protected him from the worst effects of his ship's malfunction. However, the cryopod was damaged, and he's suffering from acute hibernation sickness." Zara nodded, her eyes never leaving the mysterious human. "Can you revive him?" "Yes, but it will take time. His body needs to adjust gradually to normal functions." "Understood. Keep me informed of any changes." Zara turned to leave, but paused at the doorway. "And let me know the moment he regains consciousness. I want to be here when he wakes up." As she made her way back to the bridge, Zara's mind raced with questions. The appearance of this human explorer threatened to upend the delicate balance she'd struck between her past and present. For years, she'd immersed herself in Astrari culture, pushing thoughts of Earth to the back of her mind. Now, those memories came flooding back, bringing with them a mix of nostalgia and unease. The next few hours passed in a blur of activity. Zara oversaw the analysis of the damaged shuttle, hoping to glean some information about its origin and purpose. The results were puzzling, to say the least. Captain, her second-in-command, an Astrari named Lyra, reported, "The shuttle's design is unlike anything in our database. It appears to be several decades more advanced than current Earth technology." Zara frowned. Could it be from a secret government program? Lyra shook her head, her luminescent eyes flickering with uncertainty. "Unlikely. The materials and construction methods are too exotic. It's as if..." "As if what?" Zara prompted. "As if it's from the future," Lyra finished, her tone indicating her discomfort with such an illogical conclusion. Before Zara could respond, the ship's AI interrupted. "Captain, the human is regaining consciousness." Without a word, Zara strode towards the medical bay, her mind whirling with possibilities. As she entered the chamber, she saw the man stirring on the examination table. His helmet had been removed, revealing a face that seemed both familiar and alien to Zara's eyes. As his eyelids fluttered open, Zara found herself staring into eyes as blue as the Earth's oceans. For a moment, neither spoke, each taking in the sight of the other. Finally, the man broke the silence, his voice hoarse but clear. "Well," he said with a wry smile, "I guess I'm not in Kansas anymore." Zara couldn't help but smile at the outdated reference. "No," she replied, "you're certainly not. Welcome aboard the Stellar Horizon. I'm Captain Zara Voss." The man's eyes widened in recognition. "Zara Voss? But that's impossible. You disappeared over a century ago." Now it was Zara's turn to be shocked. She opened her mouth to respond, but before she could form the words, a violent tremor shook the ship. Alarms blared as the A's voice cut through the chaos. "Captain, we're under attack. Multiple unidentified vessels have dropped out of FTL and are opening fire." As Zara rushed to respond to this new threat, she couldn't shake the feeling that the arrival of this mysterious time traveler and the sudden attack was somehow connected. Whatever was happening, one thing was certain: nothing would ever be the same again. The Stellar Horizon rocked with another impact as Zara sprinted towards the bridge, her mind racing. Behind her, the mysterious time traveler struggled to his feet, fighting against the disorientation of his long cryosleep. "Stay here," Zara shouted over her shoulder. "It's not safe." But the man ignored her warning, stumbling after her with determination etched on his face. "I can help," he called out, his voice growing stronger with each word. As they burst onto the bridge, chaos reigned. Holographic displays flickered with damage reports, while Astrari crew members worked feverishly at their stations. Through the main viewport, Zara could see sleek, predatory ships darting through space, their weapons leaving trails of energy as they strafed the Stellar Horizon. "Report," Zara barked, sliding into the captain's chair. Lura's fingers danced over her console. 5 unknown vessels, heavily armed. "Our shields are holding, but we're taking damage." "We can't outrun them, Captain." Zara's mind raced through options. The Stellar Horizon was an exploration vessel, not a warship. They were outgunned and outnumbered. Suddenly, the time traveler was at her side. "Those are Kronos course ships," he said, his voice tight with urgency. "They're after me." Zara spun to face him. "Who are you? What's going on?" "Name's Jack Hawkins," he replied, eyes fixed on the battle unfolding before them. "I'm from Earth, about 150 years in your future. Those ships out there, they're from even further ahead. They're trying to prevent me from changing history." Zara's head spun with the implications, but there was no time to process it all. "How do we fight them?" Jack's eyes lit up with a mix of determination and what Zara could only describe as mischief. "We don't fight them. We outthink them." He turned to Lyra. "Your ship has dimensional shift capabilities, right?" Lyra nodded, confusion evident on her alien features. "Good," Jack continued. "We need to execute a Schrödinger maneuver." Zara frowned. "A what?" "It's a tactic we developed to counter Kronos core," Jack explained quickly. "We use the dimensional shift to create multiple quantum states of the ship simultaneously. They won't know which version of us to target." Lyra looked to Zara, skepticism clear in her luminescent eyes. "Captain, this is highly unorthodox. The strain on our systems." "Could be our only chance," Zara finished. She met Jack's gaze, seeing the silent plea there. Against her better judgment, she nodded. "Do it." What followed was a dizzying display of teamwork between species separated by time and space. Jack called out instructions, his future knowledge melding with Astrari technology in ways Zara could barely comprehend. The ship hummed with power as reality itself seemed to blur around them. On the view screen, the attacking ships suddenly hesitated, their formation breaking apart as their targets multiplied exponentially. "Now," Jack shouted, "full power to engines. Get us out of here." Zara didn't hesitate. "You heard him. Maximum thrust." The Stellar Horizon leaped forward, streaking past the confused Kronos core vessels and disappearing into the depths of space. As the adrenaline of the moment faded, Zara found herself staring at Jack with a mixture of awe and suspicion. "I think it's time you told us exactly what's going on," she said, her voice low and dangerous. Jack nodded, the weight of his situation evident in the slump of his shoulders. "It's a long story, but I'll try to keep it simple. In my time, humanity has spread throughout the galaxy, but we're on the brink of a catastrophic war with a coalition of alien races. I was sent back to try and prevent it, to change the course of history." Lyra's eyes narrowed. "And the Chronos course?" "They believe that any change to the timeline could have disastrous consequences," Jack explained. "They're trying to preserve history, even if it means the destruction of billions of lives." Zara leaned back in her chair, processing this information. "And where do I fit into all this? You recognized my name." Jack's expression softened. "Captain Zara Voss. In my time, you're a legend. The human who bridged the gap between Earth and the stars. Your disappearance was one of history's great mysteries." He paused, a look of wonder crossing his face. "I never imagined I'd actually meet you." The weight of destiny settled on Zara's shoulders. She'd left Earth behind, found a new home among the stars. Now it seemed her past and her future were colliding in ways she couldn't have imagined. "So what now?" she asked, looking from Jack to her Astrari crew. "Now," Jack said with a grim smile, "we try to save the future." The next few days aboard the Stellar Horizon were a whirlwind of activity and cultural exchange. Jack's presence sparked curiosity and suspicion in equal measure among the Astrari crew. Many were fascinated by this human from the future, eager to learn about the advancements of his time. Others viewed him with distrust, wary of the danger he had brought to their doorstep. Zara found herself caught in the middle, mediating between her crew and their unexpected guest. She spent hours with Jack, learning about the future that awaited humanity and the complex web of interstellar politics that had led to the brink of war. "It all comes down to fear and misunderstanding," Jack explained one evening as they stood in the ship's observatory, the galaxy spread out before them. Humanity's rapid expansion threatened many established alien civilizations. Tensions grew, alliances formed, and before anyone realized it, we were on the brink of a conflict that could tear the galaxy apart. Zara frowned, her reflection ghostly in the transparent aluminum of the viewport. "And you think you can prevent all of this?" Jack's eyes met hers in the reflection. "I have to try. And I think you're the key, Zara. Your work with the Astrari, the bridges you built. In my timeline, it wasn't enough. But maybe with the right push." His words trailed off as a comfortable silence fell between them. Zara felt the weight of possibility pressing down on her. Could she really be the linchpin of galactic peace? As if sensing her thoughts, Jack placed a hand on her shoulder. The touch sent an unexpected thrill through Zara, reminding her of how long it had been since she'd had any real human contact. "We'll figure it out together," Jack said softly. Zara nodded, allowing herself a small smile. Despite the danger and uncertainty that lay ahead, she couldn't deny the excitement building within her. For the first time in years, she felt truly alive, part of something greater than herself. As they turned away from the stars and headed back to the ship's main sections, neither of them noticed the small, sleek probe that detached itself from the Stellar Horizon's hull, streaking away into the darkness of space. The Chronos course may have lost the first battle, but the war for the future was far from over. The days aboard the Stellar Horizon blended into weeks as Zara, Jack, and the Astrari crew worked tirelessly to unravel the complex web of future events that had led to galactic conflict. The ship's powerful computers processed vast amounts of historical data from Jack's time, searching for patterns and key turning points. Zara found herself increasingly drawn to Jack. His quick wit and adaptability impressed her, and his knowledge of future technology proved invaluable in upgrading the Stellar Horizon's systems. Together, they pored over star charts and diplomatic records, piecing together a plan to alter the course of history. One evening, as they sat in Zara's quarters reviewing their latest findings, Jack leaned back with a sigh. "You know, Sometimes I wonder if the Kronos course might be right. What if our meddling only makes things worse? Zara looked up from her datapad, studying Jack's face. The weight of his mission was etched in the lines around his eyes, the set of his jaw. She reached out, placing her hand over his. We can't know for certain, Jack, but doing nothing guarantees the war you came back to prevent. We have to try. Jack's fingers intertwined with hers, a small smile tugging at his lips. How do you always know the right thing to say? Before Zara could respond, the ship's AI interrupted. Captain, we're receiving a priority transmission from Astrari High Command. It's marked urgent. Zara and Jack exchanged worried glances before hurrying to the bridge. As they entered, Lyra was already bringing the transmission online. The holographic display flickered to life, revealing the stern face of Admiral Theron, the highest-ranking Astrari military officer. Captain Voss, Theron's deep voice resonated through the bridge. We have a situation. Multiple Astrari outposts have gone dark in the past 48 hours. Long-range scans show an unknown fleet moving through the sector. We fear this may be the precursor to a full-scale invasion. Zara's mind raced. This was too soon. According to Jack's timeline, the first major conflicts weren't supposed to start for years. Admiral, do we have any information on the aggressors? Theron's expression darkened. That's the most troubling part, Captain. The energy signatures don't match any known species in our database. It's as if they've appeared out of nowhere. Jack stepped forward, his face pale. Or out of time, he murmured. The Admiral's eyes narrowed. Explain yourself, human. Jack took a deep breath before launching into a concise explanation of his origins and the Kronos Korth. As he spoke, Zara could see the disbelief on Theron's face slowly give way to grim understanding. When Jack finished, silence hung heavy over the bridge. Finally, Theron spoke. If what you say is true, then the situation is even more dire than we thought. Captain Voss, your new orders are to investigate these attacks and gather as much intelligence as possible. If this truly is a force from the future, we need to know what we're up against. Zara nodded sharply. Understood, Admiral. We'll set course immediately. As the transmission ended, the bridge erupted into a flurry of activity. Zara began issuing orders, her voice steady despite the tension coiling in her gut. Lyra, plot a course for the nearest affected outpost. Jack, I need you to work with our science team. If these are future ships, your knowledge could be crucial. Jack nodded, already moving towards the science station. On it. But Zara, if the Kronos Court has decided to take direct action like this, something big must have changed. We need to be prepared for anything. Zara met his gaze, seeing her own determination reflected in his eyes. Together, then. A small smile played at Jack's lips. Together. As the stellar horizon leaped into faster-than-light travel, Zara couldn't shake the feeling that they were hurtling towards a confrontation that would shape the fate of the galaxy. The future Jack had come back to prevent was unfolding before their eyes, accelerated by their very efforts to stop it. Hours later, the stellar horizon dropped out of FTL on the outskirts of the Astrari outpost Novus Prime. The scene that greeted them sent a chill down Zara's spine. The once thriving space station was dark, debris floating silently around it. Signs of weapons fire scared its hull. Like signs? Zara asked, her voice tight. Lyra shook her head. None detected, Captain, but our sensors are picking up residual energy readings unlike anything we've seen before. Jack leaned over the science station, his brow furrowed. These readings, they're similar to the dimensional shift technology we used to escape the Kronos Korth, but far more advanced. Zara's mind raced with the implications. Could they be using it as a weapon somehow? Before Jack could answer, alarms blared across the bridge. Multiple ships dropping out of FTL. Lara shouted. They matched the unknown signatures. The view screen filled with sleek, predatory vessels that seemed to shimmer and distort, as if they weren't fully present in this reality. At their center was a massive ship that dwarfed even the largest Astrari cruisers. Incoming transmission, the AI announced. Zara straightened her shoulders, steeling herself. On screen. The face that appeared was human, but with an otherworldly quality that sent shivers down Zara's spine. Pale, almost translucent skin stretched over sharp features, and eyes that seemed to glow with an inner light fixed on her. Captain Voss, the figure said, its voice a discordant mix of tones. I am Commander Erebus of the Temporal Rectification Force. Your interference in the timeline ends now. Jack stepped forward, his face a mask of defiance. You're making a mistake, Erebus. This isn't preservation, it's genocide. Erebus's unsettling gaze shifted to Jack. Ah, the rogue element. Your misguided attempt to change history has forced our hand. We had hoped to guide events subtly, but now more direct action is required. Zara's hand inched towards the weapons console. Whatever you're planning, we won't let it happen. There are other ways to shape the future. A cold smile twisted Erebus's lips. Oh, Captain, the future has already been shaped. You simply lack the perspective to see it. His eyes seemed to bore into Zara's soul. But don't worry, we'll give you that perspective, whether you want it or not. The transmission cut off abruptly. In the silence that followed, Zara could feel the weight of every eye on the bridge upon her. The fate of not just the Astrari, not just humanity, but the entire galaxy hung in the balance. Battle stations, Zara commanded, her voice ringing with authority. Whatever happens next, we face it together. As the crew sprang into action, Zara exchanged a look with Jack. In his eyes, she saw the same mix of fear and determination that she felt. Whatever the Temporal Rectification Force had planned, they would face it united, past, present, and future colliding in a battle for the ages. The stellar horizon's shields hummed to life as the first salvos from the enemy fleet streaked towards them. The battle for time itself had begun. The space around Novus Prime erupted into chaos as the Temporal Rectification Force unleashed its assault. The stellar horizon shuddered under the impact of weapons far beyond their understanding, its shields flickering dangerously. Evasive maneuvers, Zara shouted, her fingers flying over the tactical display. Lyra, get me Astrari High Command. We need reinforcements. Jack worked feverishly at the science station, analyzing the enemy's attack patterns. Zara, their weapons, they're not just damaging the ship, they're fracturing space-time itself. As if to emphasize his point, a bolt of energy struck a nearby piece of debris. Instead of vaporizing, the debris seemed to age rapidly, crumbling to dust in seconds. If those hit us directly, Lyra's voice trailed off, the implications clear. Zara gritted her teeth. Then we don't let them hit us. Jack, any weaknesses? Before Jack could respond, a new alarm blared. Multiple FTL signatures detected, Lyra called out. It's the Kronos Korf. Sure enough, a swarm of sleek vessels materialized around them, the same ships that had pursued Jack. For a moment, Zara feared they were caught between two hostile forces. But to her surprise, the Kronos Korf ships immediately engaged the Temporal Rectification Force. This is Commander Axel of the Kronos Korps. A gruff voice came over the comms. Captain Voss, Mr. Hawkins, it seems we have a common enemy. Truce. Zara exchanged a quick glance with Jack, who nodded. Truce accepted, Commander, she replied. But I expect a full explanation when this is over. Agreed. For now, focus on staying alive. Axel out. With the Kronos Korps drawing some of the enemy fire, the stellar horizon had a moment to regroup. Zara seized the opportunity, coordinating their efforts with their newfound allies. The bridge was a flurry of activity as human ingenuity, Astrari technology, and future knowledge combined in ways never before imagined. Jack's voice cut through the chaos. I've got something. They're temporal weapons. They're creating micro-singularities. If we can disrupt the quantum field around their ships, we might be able to destabilize their tech, Zara finished, catching on quickly. She turned to Lyra. Can we reconfigure our shields to emit a quantum pulse? Lyra's fingers danced over her console. It's possible, but it'll take time. And we'll be vulnerable while we make the modifications. Do it, Zara ordered. She opened a channel to the Kronos core. Commander Axel, we need cover. We're initiating a countermeasure, but we'll be exposed. Understood, Captain. We'll keep them off you. But make it quick. We can't hold them forever. As the stellar horizon fell back, protected by a screen of Kronos core vessels, Zara felt a hand on her shoulder. She turned to find Jack standing beside her, his eyes bright with a mix of fear and excitement. Zara, he said softly, if this works, it could change everything. The future I came from, it might cease to exist. She covered his hand with her own. Isn't that what you came back for? A wry smile tugged at Jack's lips. Yeah, but now that I'm here, with you, I'm not sure I want to let it go. For a moment, the chaos of battle faded away. Zara saw in Jack's eyes the same longing she felt, a connection that transcended time itself. But before she could respond, reality came crashing back as a massive blast rocked the ship. Direct hit, Lyra shouted. Hull breach on deck 7. Zara snapped back into action. Seal off that section. Divert power to structural integrity. How long on that quantum pulse? 30 seconds. The view screen showed the temporal rectification force closing in, their weapons tearing through the Kronos core's defenses. Commander Erebus's massive flagship loomed ever closer, its hull shimmering with otherworldly energy. 20 seconds. A Kronos core ship exploded in a brilliant flash, torn apart by temporal energies. 10 seconds. Erebus's voice crackled over the comms, distorted and menacing. Your efforts are futile. The future is set. Accept your role in. Now, Lyra shouted. Zara slammed her hand down on the activation panel. A wave of energy pulsed out from the stellar horizon, rippling through space. For a heartbeat, nothing seemed to happen. Then, like a chain reaction, the temporal rectification force ships began to flicker and distort. It's working, Jack exclaimed. Their temporal fields are collapsing. On the view screen, Erebus's flagship writhed, sections of it seeming to age and crumble, while others reverted to raw materials. The smaller ships fared no better, some imploding while others simply winked out of existence. As quickly as it had begun, the battle was over. The remaining temporal rectification force vessels, crippled and vulnerable, retreated into FTL, leaving behind a graveyard of twisted metal and temporal anomalies. A stunned silence fell over the bridge, broken only by the beeping of consoles and the heavy breathing of the crew. Zara let out a breath she didn't realize she'd been holding, slumping slightly in her chair. Damage report, she said, her voice hoarse. Lyra's response was interrupted by Commander Axel's transmission. Impressive work, Captain Voss. It seems the legends about you weren't exaggerated after all. Zara straightened, eyeing the Kronos course commander warily. I believe you owe us that explanation now, Commander. Axel nodded, his expression grim. Indeed, but not over comms. Request permission to come aboard. This is a conversation best had in person. Zara glanced at Jack, who gave a slight nod. Granted, she replied. We'll meet you in the main conference room in 30 minutes. As the transmission ended, Zara turned to her crew. Good work, everyone. Lyra, oversee the damage control teams. I want a full assessment, S.Ec. She paused, her gaze sweeping over the tired but triumphant faces around her. We've won a battle today, but I have a feeling the war is far from over. With that, she gestured for Jack to follow her. As they left the bridge, headed to prepare for their meeting with Axel, Zara couldn't shake the feeling that they were standing on the precipice of something monumental. The future, past, present, and everything in between hung in the balance. And somehow, improbably, she found herself at the center of it all. The conference room of the stellar horizon hummed with tension as Zara, Jack, and a small contingent of Austrari officers faced Commander Axel and his Kronos Corps representatives. The stark contrast between the sleek Austrari design and the advanced technology of the time travelers only emphasized the gravity of their meeting. Axel, a grizzled man with steel-grey hair and eyes that seemed to have seen centuries, leaned forward. "I'll cut to the chase. The Temporal Rectification Force is a splinter group from our own future. They believe the only way to fix the timeline is to ensure certain conflicts happen, to shape history through calculated destruction." Jack's fist clenched on the table. "But that's insane. The war they're trying to cause will devastate half the galaxy." "Precisely," Axel nodded. "Which is why we've been trying to stop them. But their actions have created a paradox, a temporal knot that's threatening to unravel the very fabric of space-time." Zora's mind raced with the implications. The weapon they used, it wasn't just destroying matter, was it? It was erasing it from time itself. Axel's grim expression was all the confirmation they needed. If left unchecked, the damage could spread, creating a cascade effect that could erase entire civilizations from history. A heavy silence fell over the room. Lyra, her luminescent eyes wide with concern, spoke up. "How do we stop it?" Before Axel could respond, alarms blared throughout the ship. The A's voice cut through the chaos. Multiple temporal anomalies detected, spatial rifts forming throughout the sector. Zara was on her feet in an instant. To the bridge now. As they rushed through the corridors, the ship shuddered violently. Crew members stumbled, grasping at walls for support. When they reached the bridge, the sight that greeted them was like something out of a nightmare. The view screen showed space itself tearing apart. Jagged rifts of swirling energy crisscrossed the starfield, swallowing debris and warping light around them. In the distance, the remnants of Novus Prime Station were being pulled apart, sections of it seemingly rewinding through time while others crumbled to dust. "Status report," Zara barked, sliding into the captain's chair. Lyra's fingers flew over her console. The temporal weapon's effects are spreading exponentially. At this rate, the entire sector will be engulfed within hours. Jack leaned over the science station, his face pale. "It's worse than that. These rifts, they're not just affecting space, they're fracturing time itself. Past, present, future, it's all bleeding together." As if to emphasize his point, a rift opened dangerously close to the stellar horizon. Through it, they caught a glimpse of Earth, but not as they knew it. Massive arcologies reached into the sky, while ships unlike anything they'd seen before darted between them. That's my Earth," Jack whispered. "But it's wrong. It's too advanced, even for my time." Axel's voice was grim. "The timeline is collapsing. We're seeing possible futures, alternate pasts, all crashing together." Zara's mind raced. There has to be a way to stop this, to reset things somehow. A look passed between Jack and Axel, a silent communication born of shared knowledge of temporal mechanics. Jack turned to Zara, his eyes filled with a mix of determination and regret. "There might be a way," he said softly, "but it's risky, and it would mean erasing everything that's happened since I arrived in this time." Zara felt her heart constrict. "Everything." Jack nodded, unable to meet her gaze. "Everything." The implications hung heavy in the air. Erasing the past few weeks would mean undoing the connections they forged, the battles they'd fought together. It would mean Zara and Jack would never have met. Before Zara could respond, another violent tremor shook the ship. A rift opened dangerously close, and through it they saw a horrifying sight. A version of Earth ravaged by war, its surface scared and burning. "We're out of time," Axel said urgently. "Captain, we need to make a decision." Zara looked from the nightmare vision of Earth to her crew, to Axel, and finally to Jack. In his eyes, she saw the same pain she felt, the knowledge of what they would be giving up. But she also saw resolve, the understanding that the fate of the galaxy outweighed their personal desires. Taking a deep breath, Zara straightened her shoulders. Do it. Whatever it takes to stop this. Jack nodded, a sad smile on his lips. It's been an honor, Captain Voss. The honor was mine, Jack Hawkins, Zara replied, her voice thick with emotion. As Jack and Axel rushed to enact their plan, reconfiguring the Stellar Horizons systems to generate a temporal reset wave, Zara turned to her crew. It's been a privilege serving with all of you. Whatever happens next, know that we fought to save not just our present, but all of time itself. The ship groaned under the strain of the temporal energies building within it. Rifts opened and closed around them, offering fleeting glimpses of possibilities, some wondrous, some terrifying. Wave charge to 80%, Lyra called out. 90%, 95%. Zara's eyes met Jack's one last time. In that moment, a lifetime of possibilities passed between them, a future they would never know, but one they were sacrificing everything to protect. 100%, wave ready to deploy. Do it, Zara commanded, her voice steady despite the turmoil in her heart. Jack's hand came down on the activation panel. A blinding light engulfed the bridge, and Zara felt reality itself seem to fold around her. The last thing she saw was Jack's face, a single tear trailing down his cheek as he mouthed the words, "Thank you." Then, everything went white. Zara blinked, disoriented. She was standing on the bridge of the Stellar Horizon, but something felt off. "Captain," Lyra's voice broke through her confusion. "Are you all right?" Zara shook her head, trying to clear the fog from her mind. "Yes, I'm fine. Status report." As Lyra rattled off the ship's condition, Zara couldn't shake the feeling that she was forgetting something important. She glanced around the bridge, half expecting to see someone, but there was only her loyal Astrari crew. "Captain," the AI interrupted, "we're detecting a small vessel on an erratic trajectory. It appears to be of Earth origin." Zara's heart raced, though she couldn't explain why. "On screen," she commanded. As the battered shuttle appeared before them, Zara felt a strange sense of déjà vu. Something about this moment felt crucial, as if the fate of the galaxy hung on what she did next. Taking a deep breath, Zara made her decision. Initiate rescue protocols. Bring them aboard. As her crew sprang into action, Zara couldn't help but feel that she was stepping into a story much bigger than herself, one that had been written, erased, and was about to be rewritten once again. The rescue operation proceeded with practiced efficiency. As the damaged shuttle was brought into the Stellar Horizons docking bay, Zara made her way down to meet the mysterious survivor. Her heart raced with an inexplicable anticipation, as if she were about to reunite with a long-lost friend. The airlock hissed open, revealing a team of Astrari medics surrounding a prone figure on a hover stretcher. Zara stepped forward, her eyes fixed on the unconscious human. As the medics moved aside, she got her first clear look at the rescued pilot. It was a man, his face pale and drawn, but undeniably handsome. Something about him tugged at Zara's memory, like a half-forgotten dream. She shook her head, pushing the strange feeling aside. "Status?" she asked the chief medic. "Stable, Captain," the Astrari replied. "He appears to have been in cryostasis. We're treating him for hibernation sickness now." Zara nodded. "Inform me when he regains consciousness. I want to be there when he wakes up." As the medical team whisked the survivor away, Zara returned to the bridge, her mind buzzing with questions. Who was this man? How had he ended up so far from Earth? And why did she feel such a strong connection to him? Hours passed as the Stellar Horizon continued its mission, scanning nearby systems for the rare element they sought. Zara found herself frequently checking on the status of that unexpected guest, drawn by a curiosity she couldn't explain. Finally, the call came. "Captain," the AI announced, "the human is regaining consciousness." Zara's heart leaped. "On my way," she replied, already striding towards the medical bay. As she entered the sterile chamber, her eyes immediately locked onto the man sitting up on the examination table. He looked disoriented, his blue eyes scanning the room before settling on Zara. For a moment, neither spoke. Then a wry smile tugged at the man's lips. "Well," he said, his voice hoarse but warm, "I guess I'm not in Kansas anymore." Zara couldn't help but smile at the updated reference. "No," she replied, "you're certainly not. Welcome aboard the Stellar Horizon. I'm Captain Zara Voss." The man's eyes widened in recognition, a look of confusion and wonder crossing his face. "Zara Voss? But that's impossible. You disappeared over a century ago." Now it was Zara's turn to be shocked. "I'm sorry, what? Who are you?" "Jack," he replied, running a hand through his disheveled hair. "Jack Hawkins. And I'm from the future. Or at least I thought I was." As Jack began to explain his mission, a desperate attempt to prevent a catastrophic war between humanity and a coalition of alien races, Zara felt a strange sense of déjà vu. It was as if she had heard this story before, in another life. Their conversation was interrupted by the ship's AA. "Captain, we're receiving a priority transmission from Astrari High Command. It's marked urgent." Zara frowned. "Put it through here." The holographic display flickered to life, revealing the stern face of Admiral Theron. "Captain Voss, we have a situation. Multiple Astrari outposts have gone dark in the past 48 hours. Long-range scans show an unknown fleet moving through the sector." As the Admiral continued his briefing, Zara's mind raced. The threat he described aligned perfectly with Jack's warnings about the future. It was happening again, or for the first time, and somehow they were at the center of it all. When the transmission ended, Zara turned to Jack, her expression determined. "It seems your mission isn't over yet, Mr. Hawkins. In fact, it might be just beginning." Jack nodded, a mix of relief and resolve in his eyes. "I was hoping you'd say that. So, what's our next move, Captain?" Zara smiled, feeling a surge of excitement and purpose. "First, we investigate these attacks. Then, we do everything in our power to prevent the war you came back to stop." As they left the medical bay together, heading towards the bridge to brief the crew, Zara couldn't shake the feeling that this was the start of something monumental. The future, or perhaps the past, they were fighting to change was unfolding before them. But this time, they faced it together. Human and Astrari, past and future, united in a common cause. As Zara glanced at Jack, seeing the determination in his eyes that mirrored her own, she knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them as one. The Stellar Horizon leaped into FTL, carrying its diverse crew towards an uncertain future. But for the first time in years, Zara felt truly alive. She had found her purpose, bridging the gap between humanity and the stars in ways she had never imagined. As the ship streaked through the cosmos, Zara allowed herself a moment of quiet reflection. The journey ahead would be fraught with danger and difficult choices. They would face enemies from across time and space, navigate complex interstellar politics, and confront the very nature of cause and effect. But looking around at her crew, the loyal Astrari who had become her family, and now Jack, a man out of time who somehow felt like he belonged at her side, Zara knew they were equal to the task. Whatever the future held, whatever twists and turns their path might take, they would face it together. And in doing so, they would write a new chapter in the history of the galaxy, one of hope, unity, and the indomitable spirit of those who dared to reach for the stars. As the Stellar Horizon ventured into the unknown, Zara felt a sense of possibility she hadn't experienced since leaving Earth behind. The adventure was just beginning, and the horizons before them were truly limitless.